Your journey on this season was one for the record books. We've not quite seen a transition like yours, but let's start with first day, Emily. You came in pretty hot. I think you said brute force. Uh, who is that Emily? Is that work Emily? Who is that Emily?
Oh, that is a real aspect of me, which makes this whole process like that much stranger. Now, I do think it was like a stress reaction, right? I really didn't have much strategy coming into the game of Survivor, so like I was just out there, and I felt immediately on the outs. Like my tribe got along really well, and it was obvious that I was like this sore thumb that was sticking out. So I think a lot of what you saw was like my stress reaction, right? Like weird aggressive Emily, I think is the word that I use to describe myself. Like I am the weird aggressive Emily does still exist, but I am so thankful that I had the opportunity throughout this entire experience to show other aspects of my personality too. My journey should have ended with only weird aggressive Emily, and weird aggressive Emily would have been what everybody knew about me for the rest of my life. So I love the fact, I'm so thankful that people got to see me for who I am, which does include weird aggressive Emily, but also includes cheese dancing Emily and Emily having a normal conversation and not attacking everybody around her, right? Like I'm, all of those things and more. So I'm just so thankful that I had the opportunity that I did, because it could have ended really differently for me. Now, do I wish I won? Of course, but I'm also
Right.
thankful that I am here.
Absolutely. I mean, this shift we saw in you, you said people aren't stocks, and all of a sudden you're aware that you're playing with humans, and this pivot that you made. So talk to me about how like that came to you and how you made this change.
Oh my God, the realization that people are people and they have emotions. I was really, I think Caleb said it really nicely when he said that I was like trying to play the game of Survivor in like 10 days. So I came in, I saw the dynamics, and I was like really afraid, because I knew that the dynamics that existed were not going to be advantageous for me to like make it far in the game. And instead of leaving room for people to change, of which their alliances did change and perceptions changed, I just thought, oh my God, this is crisis mode. I'm going to be, if I'm not the first boot, I'm the second boot, but either way, I'm going home fast, and I panicked. And I think that's a lot of that kind of initial result. So once I had the opportunity to sell in, and I give Caleb a lot of credit for this, for, actually talking to me and like helping me calm down, like screw my head back on my shoulders. He was really helpful and directive with like what he thought that I needed to do to show, the tribe, like ingratiate myself a bit more, but also just show them a bit more of me. And yeah, I'm so thankful that he kind of saw that opportunity and helped me along the way, because I think my story is very different without him.
Yes, we're thankful to him too. So you get swapped over to New Bello. And is this like a sigh of relief for you? How are you feeling then?
It really was. I mean, obviously I was a lone Lulu member in that group, and my initial response, I had two different feelings, which was one, on one hand, I had that tight alliance with Caleb, and I knew that if we went to like another tribal council, I felt strong about us two together. And so, even if we ended up having to do that, I was like, oh, I hate leaving him. But at the same time, I got swapped onto a tribe that was perfectly split. I mean, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. My Survivor game could not have been more lucky unless I had won. So this is just, I see it as an incredible opportunity. And by that point, Caleb had talked to me about the way I talk about the game, like being more open and personable with people. So I was taking some of those lessons, but at the same time, the way that my previous Lulu tribe like really kind of clicked when they all got together without me, I was kind of clicking with some of these Bello members, the new Bello tribe. And so I was just so thankful that I was on a tribe where suddenly people, like seemed to want to work with me, obviously because I was a swing vote, but that made me feel good.
This reward challenge that you won
Mm.
was so beautiful, such an amazing moment. Tell me how you were feeling then.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I mean, I'm happy I won it, but you can see the reaction, right? So like I win. Nobody thinks I'm going to win, myself included. I'm like, what just happened? Everybody comes up, and I don't think when you're this late into the game of Survivor, everybody is rooting for somebody to win a reward challenge the way that people were rooting for me, because everybody was like, Emily's not capable of even like competing. So the fact that I won that, I think was just amazing. And the night that we got out of it, that girls' night, it was so much fun. We went through like 4 bottles of wine that night. There should have been a girls' montage. We had more fun than the boys, I'm convinced. But that was, if I had my favorite time on Survivor, that was that night. Definitely, it was so much fun.
Wow. Well, this leads you into one of your biggest moves, we'll call it. You take a big swing here. You keep Bruce from playing his idol. My first question, though, was this the right move? Why was getting Bruce out over, Julie, let's say?
Yeah. Even to this day, I don't know. I would like to be able to say yes or no, like really clearly. Obviously, I'm sitting here. I'm not winning the $1 million. So I made mistakes along the way. But my thought process going into that was, Bruce was a big threat. I didn't have anything. I thought the jury didn't have respect for me. That was my fear, was that I was playing under the thumb of everybody else without really making independent moves. And when I saw the opportunity to make that move and add something to my resume, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something that I'm actually capable of doing. The thought did occur to me that when I started talking to him and I realized he was really sold on the plan, like more than I expected him to be, it did occur to me that I could make that a reality. But I remember being really kind of afraid. I had not worked with Bello, right? We didn't have those existing relationships. And the moment, if anybody in that group realized that I was trying to turn on a Reba member and told Reba, I knew that I was going to be sent home. Like that was very much how Reba was kind of running their, you say a Reba name, you go home. And so I didn't feel exactly like I could trust and Katura in particular, because I knew she had a working relationship with Reba. I was really afraid that if I came and I was like, let's do this, that she would then tell somebody and then I would be, potentially sent home. But I really didn't try hard enough, I think, to make that an option. And I do think that if I had spent more time developing that connection with Katura earlier on, for instance, developing that connection with the Bello members, then that vote may have been different. But I made that mistake.
Now you're going to explain what you did to keep Bruce from playing his idol. Is this also a mistake?
Yes. So for context, because this didn't quite make it in, when I was trying to tell Bruce about the plan, he said, I really like this plan, but let's do it at the next vote, not this vote. And obviously I was trying to flush his idol. So I had to convince him to make it happen on this vote. And the reason why he wanted to do next vote was because he thought he had the numbers with Julie. And so I needed to convince him to do this vote. And to do that, I had to, in my mind, throw Julie a little bit under the bus to tell him that his connection with Julie was not real. Now, Julie obviously did not appreciate that. And so when we got back to tribal council, I was trying to kind of explain to Julie, like, why her name was the name that was written down, as opposed to like Dee or Austin or Drew or somebody else on that Reba alliance. But the moment I get out there, it's like I was really insecure about my game. I was proud of myself for pulling off this move. That was definitely, I don't know if it was like the only reason I went home. I think I have so many different mistakes that I made, but that within itself was definitely a mistake.
Well, also you're just playing Survivor and people go home. It's
that too.
You had the opportunity to play that little savvy puzzle and chose that your vote was more important. I mean, other people had already not done that savvy. I don't know. Do you think you could have done it?
I feel pretty confident that I could not have done it. Okay. Even today, if you gave me that puzzle right now, having watched people solve it, I still can't solve it. I don't understand how that works. I can't visualize that the way that I think I would need to. I think the hope was that having this be the second time that the tribes have seen the puzzle, that the person who was coming to it would have had taken the experience of other people and used that to quickly solve the puzzle. But I don't think anybody really did figure out the solution before that journey happened. So I don't regret not playing. I have a lot of regrets, but that's not one of them. I knew that I was on the block, chopping block that night. So I wanted my vote.
So going into this tribal, you've heard your name, it's a possibility, but you're pretty comfortable, I would imagine, that the plan is Julie.
Yeah. And I at some point, obviously the plan initially was to keep the group very small about who was voting for Julie, and everybody else would be voting for Jake or whomever they decided, but Julie would go. The plan got out, it got leaked to every single person, Julie included. So there was a moment where I was realizing, I'm watching Dee crying with Julie on the beach and I'm like, okay, so like Julie is aware, but Julie did a really good job of kind of like, not like being afraid, but like making it feel like she knew that she was going home. And so it really didn't occur to me that she had an idol. I thought that the idol from Reba got flushed with Sifu. I thought he took that idol home with him. So my thought process was the worst that she could do was play her shot in the dark. But even that, not knowing about the idol, I mean, I still should have split the vote, obviously. And that should have been a thought that crossed our minds, but we didn't.
As viewers, we can see that Drew and Austin are quite the power duo. We know all of the little hardware they have. Is that just not visible in the game? Were you not seeing that?
I definitely knew they were close. Those two were the people that I was most confident in terms of the relationship that they had built, and I also knew that they were close with Julie and Dee as well. They were honest with me about that alliance. I don't think I realized how close. Like, not they were talking about going to the four together. I didn't even watching it back. I didn't realize until just now that these people were genuinely sharing every aspect of their game together. But I did know that they were working together. I didn't feel overly threatened. I remember thinking that if I sat next to Drew at Austin at final, which I don't know if they would have brought me there, but if they did, I remember thinking that they played similar enough games that maybe I could make a distinctive argument for myself, especially if the jury, for whatever reason, didn't appreciate the Reba alliance. So my thought process was kind of, beggars can't be choosers in a sense, but I did realize how close they were. I was just hoping that, at some point, if and when people turn on each other, they could see me as a vote in their favor.
You said preseason that if you weren't going to win, you needed to go home first, or that would be preferred. How do you feel now? How was this experience for you?
Oh, so different. Obviously, so different. I will say, going into the game, I didn't feel like I needed to starve on an island for a month to prove something to myself. Like, I really had the mentality of, this is a cool experience, but I'm here to win money. And I don't need anything else from this experience other than $1 million. And if I don't get the $1 million, then let me just go back to my everyday life. I really did not expect how much, like, even a short period of time like that, 26 days, how much you can change in that period, how much you can learn about yourself, learn even more watching yourself back on TV. That's even worse. But honestly, the whole experience was like so different than I could have expected. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity. And I would say if I could go back to a year ago, which is about the time I was applying right now, a year ago, knowing what I know today, I would still do it. So I guess I'm really eating my words.
And how does it feel to be a fan favorite?
Jarring, honestly, because I wasn't a fan favorite to start, right? Like, there was a lot of, which I totally understand. I watched episode 1, 2. I was there. I behaved like that. So I kind of understood that there was like this change, I guess, in public perception of me. I don't really do social media. My sister like running my Instagram account, all that stuff. So I'm trying to like not see all of it, but I was still getting, I mean, some of the stuff that was said to me, I've never in my life, and I lose people money occasionally. Like, I have never in my life heard some of those comments. And so for that to change from so negative to so positive, it's like two extremes, and I think the reality is somewhere in the middle. So I'm trying to remind myself that it's editing, I appreciate the journey, and I love the fact that people like me. Like, everybody wants to be liked, but it's worth reminding everybody that weird aggressive Emily is still me, and the reality is in the middle somewhere.
Well, we love all Emily, the whole shebang. It was such a pleasure to watch you, and I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for your time.